This week on Today in Space, every 3D printed part is a mystery waiting to be solved. What happens when you get a part you just can't make successful, no matter how hard you try, where the task seems as impossible as saving the crew of Apollo 13? Welcome to the Part Detective, where you can leverage our years of experience to transform challenges into triumph. Today we're introducing a brand new service from AG3D Labs where you can leverage my almost decade of experience in 3D printing to crack the case for your 3D printing challenge. Whether you're a wide-eyed novice or a seasoned engineer or technician, let's bring your part into reality together. And you can call me the Part Detective. Welcome to Today in Space. I am, as always, your space science podcast host from the East Coast, Alex G. Orfanos. And today we're diving into 3D printing and the launch, or phase one, of the Part Detective from AG3D Printing. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of space talk. For those that don't know, I am not only a podcaster of all things space, I'm also the owner and operator of AG3D Printing, which started in 2016, it's crazy that it's been that long, and provides 3D printing part services for anyone that's looking around the world to make a 3D printed part. We've got plenty of printers here in our basement. Some might say too much, we say not enough. But I live at the crossroads of 3D printing and the space industry. My ultimate goal is to merge these two to tackle some of the biggest challenges in our future in space. So, what is the Part Detective? It's our latest offering from AG3D, designed to help you solve even the trickiest 3D printing problems. Every 3D printed part is a case to be cracked, whether it's a custom logo holder, a fidget spinner, or a complex engineering component. We all run into problems sometimes, and sometimes you just need a fresh set of eyes or someone with a little expertise if the customer support of the printer that you bought doesn't actually respond to your emails or calls. You don't have anywhere else to go. But that's why the Part Detective exists, and our doors are open. Now, why 3D printing and space? Well, it's a good question. These are my two passions. It's where I find a lot of purpose and accomplishment in my life. The origin story of me and space is also a great example of how I see 3D printing playing a role in human missions going forward here. One of my earliest memories of space in my life when I was a kid watching the movie Apollo 13. I don't know if it was the first time I watched it or just the first time I was present thinking about this scene.
Well, I suggest you gentlemen invent a way to put a square peg in a round hole. Rapidly.
Okay, people, listen up. We gotta find a way to make this fit into the hole for this. Using nothing but that. Let's get it organized.
Okay, let's build a filter.
Maybe get some coffee going, too, someone.
And this scene fascinated me. To be on that team, solving the most dire problems. I mean, that's what it's all about. 3D printing provides that thrill and the adventure that I want. So that's why I love 3D printing. So I've been building the skills and the know-how to be qualified, to be on that team in the future where we're going to have 3D printers on board to help solve that problem. You know, and in the future, that same problem that they had about fitting those two filtration systems to take carbon dioxide that was building in the spacecraft, someone with a 3D printer could have designed something, sent the part file to the crew at the speed of light, and then in a few hours they could have had a part that would have helped them change those different components that would have completely changed the reaction time for both the crew and mission control. You know, there's an infinite amount of ways that 3D printing can help in missions in the future. Not to mention with companies like Spacecraft that are looking to use the soil or the regolith of the moon and Mars to make buildings and prep before humans even get there. And we interviewed the co-founder of Spacecraft, Madison Fian. You should go check that episode out if you want to learn more about it. But the future of 3D printing and space fusing has only just begun, with things like Relativity Space launching an almost 85 to 90% fully 3D printed rocket, and so many aerospace companies are introducing 3D printing into their process because it helps them make geometries they never made before. And in something like the aerospace industry, where you're really only making, in the space industry, where you're making a few parts, you're not making large quantities, then something low volume production like a 3D printer actually makes sense, especially with metals and all those types of things. But in the last year, we've made a ton of awesome stuff, like this Starman 3D printed helmet, fully 3D printed in one piece. We've got a nice big 3D printer for that. Here's a jetpack for some cosplay that we made for Comic-Con this year, which this uses like a foam material, so it's just really cool stuff. But again, large 3D printing. We've got our Starship pen that's now in multicolor. That's available on our Etsy store, ag3dprinting.etsy.com, and different things like this 3D printed multicolor trading card stand. This is for like graded trading card slabs and other fun stuff like a James Webb Space Telescope model in multicolor. And it doesn't end there. The list goes on and on, literally. You can check out our Instagram page at AG3D Printing to see all of the stuff we're working on. And there's still so many things we've done for customers that we haven't even talked about. So there's a lot of different things that we've tackled and challenges to make these parts that we've gone through and figured out, and a lot of different technologies. And now all of this takes a tremendous amount of creative energy, and even the process of putting together the part detective required a combination of patience and wild sprints of creativity to visualize, brand, and conceptualize a way that I could offer my skills to anybody with a 3D printer or who wants one. I get asked often, do you have any free time? And aren't you busy all the time? And well, yes, as a full-time engineer and someone running both a weekly space science podcast and a 3D printing business, I am very busy. But at the same time, my life is not the same as it used to be even a few years ago. And I do spend a lot of time building skills for 3D printing to stay sharp, but I also have been taking better care of myself as well and being smarter about the time that I use for things like this. And that helps me in so many different ways, including being more productive when I do have time to work on these passions of mine. For me, Magic Mind has been a crucial tool for me to help stay less anxious and stressed out, but also more calm when the moment calls for me to jump in and be creative. Even these services from the Part Detective are during my free hours, and you better believe if you open a case with the Part Detective, Magic Mind will be flowing through these veins. And that's what you want out of this service. A pure 30 minutes of creative input and output to solve problems, ask questions, brainstorm, and more. So if you're interested in trying Magic Mind, our ultimate tool for productivity, focus, and calm all in one, go to magicmind.com/today20 and get up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off any single item. That's code today20 to get up to 48% off on your subscription or 20% off a single item at magicmind.com. Magic Mind helps us navigate the wild world of 3D printing and space progress, and also fuels us to give you that 30 minutes of straight creativity-filled time with the Part Detective so we can help crack your case and get you printing. That's magicmind.com/today20. Get a major discount and get started today using the link in the description below. Now, how does the Part Detective work? Whether you're a hobbyist struggling with your first 3D printer or an engineer with a highly technical part to manufacture, the Part Detective has you covered. We offer brainstorming, ideation, 3D model prep, custom print settings, and even post-print troubleshooting. We've closed thousands of cases for challenging parts, and our doors are open to you for your next 3D printing challenge and mystery. Now you might be asking, Alex, that's great, but why should I start a case with you? Can you give me some examples? I got you. First of all, you're leveraging our expertise for your needs, and that can take many different shapes. But here are some of the ways that you can use the Part Detective. The holidays are coming up, and you may want to buy yourself or a loved one your first 3D printer. Where do you start? Which 3D printer should you get? Do I have the right space for it? Well, we can help answer those questions for you to dial in the right type of technology that you might want for your loved one's age and experience level. Not to mention, we can help search with you so that you can go off your budget, find the right printer, and we can even check and see if there are any deals out there. And that's good because you can find the right 3D printer, so that way it doesn't end up on a shelf somewhere gathering dust later, which does happen often when people just blindly buy their first one. Another thing you can use this for is, let's say you have a hobbyist 3D printer like I've got in my basement, and it just isn't working. Maybe it's running, but you can't seem to get that first layer to work. You're just struggling. You're not quite sure, did a setting changed? Is it the material? Or you've reached out to the customer support team and they either haven't responded or are no longer any help. Well, book 30 minutes with us. Bring pictures, videos, and even use your own camera while we're talking in real time so that we can see your 3D printer run, we can diagnose, and do all of that live. You'll leave with actionable steps for other kinds of testing or to get closer to getting back up and running with your 3D printer. We can't guarantee we'll solve it for you, but sometimes all it is having another set of eyes and another brain to look at it and see maybe something you were missing. Well, this is a very common issue too. Let's say you have this 3D model, right? And it's a great model, but you just can't seem to get it to print successfully. Maybe you've been printing it in single color or multicolor, or maybe it's a metal part. Let's focus on the process that you're using and take a look at that model to see if it's broken. We'll give you a full part diagnosis so that you can take that first principles thinking and get your design tuned for the process. Designing for any kind of technology or process, even within 3D printing, there's so many different types of ways to make something. If you use design, you're able to succeed even the most difficult challenges with the most powerful tool you have. Design for additive manufacturing. Also, maybe you're a print service. Maybe you do this professionally. You're making parts every single day for people. Or maybe you've got a company that's trying to sell a 3D printer and you're making a part to prove to that person that this printer is worth paying that money for it. So you can close a sale. You've got to get this part to work and you're on a deadline. Well, there's nothing worse than starting a 3D print for a part and then find out later after the fact that there are challenges with the model or the process. And we've all been there. So start the process with a set of expert, fresh eyes so you can get it right on the first or second try and not have to have that uncomfortable chat when you still have to get that part made and you just can't get it successful and you're days or weeks past deadline. A 30-minute session before you start printing could save you days and weeks of time and maybe close that deal or print those parts sooner than you usually do. Every 3D printed part is a mystery, but with nearly a decade of experience at your disposal, we're here to crack the case for you and get you those parts made into reality. Our service is tailored for everyone, from beginners who just need guidance to experts that are looking for that perfection or that final tune that you just might not have time for. And one last success story that actually happened recently. The other day, I just met with someone who was looking to work in the 3D printing industry, and they had questions of what to expect. So we spoke for 30 minutes, chatted about what they were looking for and what different roles could be out there. And in half an hour, we shared a ton of experience and they left more confident and dialed in on what they want to get out of a career and a role. That's going to help that person enter that next job with some more enthusiasm and some more confidence. And you might even surprise the person who's interviewing you with how dialed in you are. And we're definitely happy to help with that. So there really is no limit to what we can help you with in 3D printing. And if we can't help, we'll let you know or point you in the right direction for what is possible. So are you ready to solve your next 3D printing mystery? Start a case with the Part Detective today at ag3d-printing.com. Scroll down to the Part Detective and you'll see our schedule. It's live. You can sign up today. Pick your time, enter the payment, and we'll send you updates and we'll meet as soon as the same day. Also, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter, even if you don't have a case to open with us right now, or if you just have more questions before you jump in. Get the latest on our case files, 3D printing tips, and more. And keep an eye out for our new blog series, the Part Detective Case Files, where we deep dive into 3D printing cases that we've cracked over the years. You don't want to miss it. It's a great place to learn about what's possible. So thanks for tuning in to Today in Space. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that bell for more exciting content. And remember, the Part Detective and AG3D Labs are here for your next 3D printing mystery. Spread love and spread science, and we'll see you next time.